We are at the corner of Hanover and Fayette, just by downtown Radisson. I can tell you that just within the past few moments, here at the BGE building, firefighters broke through a window on about the 8th floor and pulled out those workers who were stranded on the scaffolding. Just about 8:30 a.m., eyewitnesses tell me they heard a massive explosion, a loud boom, something that shook the floor that they stood on. They ran in every direction, but they can tell me that a few windows in the BGE building broke through, and that is when two of these scaffoldings that you're seeing hanging on the side of the building, that is when they fell, just moments after the explosion. And that is when two workers on the scaffolding were stranded. They had no way of kind of getting out. You can see there the fire department, someone from the Baltimore City Fire Department kind of sticking their head out. That is where they broke through the window and pulled those two workers that were stranded through. Sean, since we've been here in the past 30 minutes, we have seen multiple people taken out of the BGE building on a stretcher by ambulance and emergency personnel. Baltimore County Fire Department have confirmed that about 7 people have been injured in this incident. We do not know what the cause of the boom, this loud sounding explosion was. We do not know why exactly happened here, but we do know that since we arrived, those 2 men who were stranded on the side, those 2 window cleaners on the scaffolding, have since been rescued by the Baltimore City Fire Department and brought inside that building, and we can presume out to emergency personnel. Since we've been here, people who are working, crew members, because there is a building right next door to BGE, Sean, that crew members were working at this morning, and they say that they were at the job, on the job, and that was when at 8:30, around 8:30 a.m. this morning, they heard a large boom. There was smoke, there was debris, and that is when they were all pulled out of where they were working at the time. They all kind of are coalescing around us here on the corner of Hanover and Fayette, talking about what they saw. But you can see from up above that this is a massive response in terms of the emergency personnel. You can see ambulance, firefighters, multiple trucks and engines all responding to this area. The streets in and around here are completely shut off, so if you're driving in this area, please avoid it, because it's absolute, you know, emergency scenes in every single direction. BGE say, I spoke to them moments ago, a spokesperson for BGE, they say they will have a statement out shortly, and we will get that to you, Sean, in moments after they give that to us. But as of right now, we know, as far as from the Baltimore City Police and Fire Department, who we just spoke to, that everybody has been removed from these scaffoldings on the side of the building. They were there for about 30 to 45 minutes, just stuck. Firefighters went up to about the 8th and 9th floor, broke through the windows, and pulled those workers out from the scaffolding into the building. We understand that from Baltimore City Fire Department, there are about 7 people who were injured, and again, Sean, we did see people being removed from this BGE building on stretchers. Everybody has been safely removed, according to the police department, kind of backed away from the building. We are waiting to hear from the fire department. They are about to hold a press conference in the next few minutes. But as of right now, Sean, on the corner of Fayette and Hanover, everybody has been removed safely from those scaffoldings. We have not heard about any kind of serious injuries. The crew workers here say that after the explosion, they did have a few people who were kind of minor injuries with just the debris flowing out in every direction from the impact of whatever caused that boom. But Sean, we will be covering this here from downtown Baltimore and bringing you the latest from BGE and what happened this morning. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, thank you. So here's a recap of what we know so far. Witnesses say they heard an explosion before the scaffolding fell at the BGE building that is on West Fayette Street. The City Firefighters Union said the incident happened on the 16th floor. Now, 2 workers were stuck on the side of the building in that scaffolding on West Lexington Street. As you heard Annie Rose just say, they have since been rescued by firefighters that broke out the window, and they were able to pull them to safety. 2 others at least are being treated on the ground for burns burn-related injuries. But as you heard Annie Rose just say, they're expecting the injuries to be around 6 or 7. So this is a multiple injury incident. First responders are asking people to avoid the area and use alternate routes if they are traveling downtown. Again, this is a developing story. We'll bring you the latest as we find out. We will bring that to you. Again, this is on West Lexington and West Fayette Street. So if you're traveling in that area, please be aware, and fire crews, they are asking that you avoid this area if you can. You're taking a look now at the side of the building. You can see the scaffolding there. You would assume that that is the window that they broke out to pull the two workers that were on the side of the building to safety. They had a ladder truck out there, but it appears they did not have to use that. Baltimore Fire tweeting out just minutes ago that they are on the scene of this explosion with a partial roof collapse on the 100 block of West Fayette Street. They say at least 10 people have been transported to an area hospital, 9 in critical condition, 1 in serious condition. We're going to go back now to Annie Rose Ramos, who is on the scene. Annie Rose.
Well, Sean, as you mentioned there moments ago, we heard from the Baltimore City Fire Department, who said that there was a partial roof collapse from this building. Now, we just also heard from BGE, who released this statement moments ago. They say construction work was occurring on the building's air handling and boiler system, which likely caused the incident. 3 people were treated for non-life-threatening injuries as a result of that incident. The building was largely empty due to the upcoming holidays and the pandemic. Window washing scaffolding was comprised because of the incident, and a window washing crew, I think that's meant to be window washing scaffolding, was compromised because of the incident, and a window washing crew was pulled to safety by the fire department. Sean, that's what we mentioned and saw moments ago happen here. Fire department and BGE crews are on scene. Now that's the end of the statement that we just received from BGE. I can tell you, Sean, that we are now seeing arrive on the scene Police Commissioner Harrison here and multiple other people from the police, fire department. I can tell you that this is a massive response of emergency services, ambulances, fire trucks, and as you mentioned before, this explosion caused the roof to collapse, and as eyewitnesses said, you know, the ground, they felt it shake. They saw smoke, they saw debris just kind of flowing in every direction, which caused them all to get out of this area as quickly as possible. It sounds like BG&E was going through some sort of construction here, as they mentioned in that press release, and that some sort of air handling and boiler system is likely the cause of this incident. We'll obviously learn more throughout the day as the day continues, but Sean, that is the latest that we have from BG&E as of right now. We expect to hear from the Baltimore City Fire Department in the next coming moments, and we will bring you the latest once we do. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, real quick, we see the video, we see the scaffolding still on the side of the building. Were you able to see the workers as they were pulled to safety? All right, we lost Annie Rose there. We'll check back in with her.
I'm sorry, Sean, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Tell me again.
Yeah, so we're looking at live pictures now of the roof. We saw the scaffolding hanging on the side of the building. Were you able to see the workers when they were pulled to safety through the window?
Yeah, Sean, just at around 9:15 a.m., we saw that the workers were kind of trapped on this scaffolding, the one to the far left. Luckily, we heard that there was, from eyewitnesses, that there wasn't anyone on the right side scaffolding. That's the one that's completely on its side. But this left-hand scaffolding, when we arrived here at the scene, there were 2 workers. They were sort of climbing to the very top, to the far right of the scaffolding, just to kind of get away from anything that the fire department was working on. Firefighters went up to the 8th and 9th floors. They broke through the window. We saw the glass kind of come straight out and fall down to the floor. They came outside and pulled those workers into the building. It was an incredibly dramatic scene, and everybody was super safe to see that they were able to do it safely. Nobody fell. Nobody kind of, was at was hanging anywhere. It was just a very quick kind of rescue mission in and out, and brought those two washing workers on the side of the scaffolding into the building and into safety. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, thank you. As we continue our live look at the BGE building, we're going to give you a quick recap of what we know so far. Witnesses say they heard an explosion before the scaffolding fell at the BGE building. This was just before 9 a.m. City Firefighters Union says the incident happened on 16th Street. Now, the workers that were trapped on that scaffolding, they were rescued a bit lower. Two of them were trapped on the side of the building along West Lexington Street. They have since been rescued through the windows. Baltimore City was able to break out the window, pull those two workers to safety, so that's some good news there. However, there are other injuries. Baltimore Fire says there are 10 people that are injured. At least 2 have been treated on the ground for burn-related injuries. First responders are asking people to avoid the area, use alternative routes if you're traveling around the downtown area. Again, this is happening along West Lexington and West Fayette Street, the BGE building downtown. They believe that this occurred from a construction incident. There was construction work going on in the building, on the building's air handling and boiler system. This is from BGE. They say 3 people were treated for non-life-threatening injuries, so we're getting a couple of different reports, but Baltimore Fire does say 10 people, at least 10 people were injured, 1 serious. The window washing scaffolding was compromised because of that explosion, causing it to kind of dangle on the side of the building. The 2 individuals that were in that have since been rescued, which is good news. Another a bit of good news is the building was largely empty due to the upcoming holiday and the pandemic. A lot of people were working at home, or maybe they were out already for the holiday, obviously with Christmas coming up. We are following this as it's obviously a developing situation. Here's a tweet from Baltimore Fire saying that they are on the scene. A partial roof collapse on the 100 block of West Fayette Street. Those 10 people, as we had just said, have been transported to an area hospital, 9 in critical condition, 1 in serious condition. We have heard that some of them were being treated on the ground for burns. It is an explosion. Motorists are encouraged to avoid the area, use alternate routes along, if you're going to be in the downtown area around West Fayette Street and West Lexington Street. This is the BGE building. Lots of crews are still on the scene down there. We were seeing some really amazing video of that scaffolding dangling from the side of the building. You can see it's hanging around. It looks like maybe the 8th or 9th floor. The 2 workers that were on that scaffolding, they were rescued. I know you see the ladder truck there in that tweet. They were rescued through the window, so they didn't have to use that ladder truck to get them down. Firefighters, Baltimore City Fire Department, they were able to break out the window, pull the workers to safety, so that is some good news here. If we can go back out live now to look at the scene from above, the scaffolding still hanging on the side of the BGE building. Lots of activity on the roof of the BGE building as well. This is still dangerous. This scaffolding is hanging there. That's why they are one of the many reasons they're saying to avoid this area. You can take a look at that just hanging there. People were in the scaffolding. Now, Annie Rose was saying there are 2 different scaffoldings. I'm not sure. I think this may be the one that they rescued the workers from. There was another one that was, luckily, the other one was worse off from what Annie Rose was saying. And we can zoom out here. We can see a lot of activity still on the roof. You can see where they say that partial roof collapse. It looks like you can see the scaffolding to the top right of that building kind of just hanging vertically. You can see all the holes in the roof. That is that partial roof collapse. We do have sounds from a witness on what they saw happen just before 9 a.m. When that explosion occurred.
Noticed something wasn't right. I was walking on this side of the street past the Radisson, and the glass on the building shook. When it went boom, And I didn't know what it was. And as we walked further up, we seen debris falling across the street over there from the sky.
The debris falling from the window.
Yeah, it was like already falling midair.
So we're going to recap what we know so far. Witnesses say they heard an explosion before the scaffolding fell at the BGE building, and this happened just before 9 a.m. this morning at the BGE building on West Fayette Street. The City Firefighters Union says the incident happened on the 16th floor. 2 people that were trapped in the scaffolding were rescued by fire crews that were able to bust out the window. They are no longer stuck on the side of the building. They were rescued around the 8th or 9th floor, so you can imagine that was quite scary for them. We are hearing that there are at least 10 people injured, 9 critically injured, 1 seriously injured, 2 were treated on the ground for burn-related injuries. First responders are asking everyone to avoid this area. If you are traveling in the downtown Baltimore area, avoid West Fayette Street and West Lexington Street. As you can see, they're still on the scene. They're working, it appears, right now to secure the scaffolding. That is one of 2 scaffolding that were affected by this explosion. The workers were on that scaffolding. Luckily, the other one is vertical, so the workers were trapped on that. Annie Rose Ramos, who was on the scene, told us that they were able to make their way up to the top end of that scaffolding. You can see the window busted out. That is where the Baltimore City Fire Department were able to break out, get to those 2 workers who were on the scaffolding, and pull them to safety. We're going to go back now to Annie Rose Ramos. She is live on the scene with the latest. Annie Rose.
Well, Sean, as you mentioned, part of this building, half of the roof is just sort of blown out due to this explosion. We heard from BGE moments ago who say that this was due to some sort of construction that was going on at the building. Luckily, as you said, the building was largely empty. So due to the pandemic, due to Christmas and the holidays, there weren't that many people inside. But at the time that this took place, at around 8:30 a.m., according to eyewitnesses, this explosion happened, and there were washing crews on the scaffolding on the side of the building. And that's when 2 of them, as you see here, kind of fell on its side and trapping 2 of the workers inside one of the scaffolding. Firefighters quickly went upstairs. They broke through the window on the 8th and 9th floor, it looks like, and pulled them inside to safety. As you mentioned before, Sean, there are around 10 people who are injured. There are around 10 people, and eyewitnesses, as well as our crew here, we've seen people getting removed from the building by ambulance services on stretchers. We hear that, we haven't seen anyone who look like they have major injuries right now, but we have seen people get pulled out with ambulances. And we have some words from people who were here, from eyewitnesses who were able to share what they saw, their own account from this morning's explosion.
It was like a shock, like a big vibration, kind of like a mini, I guess maybe earthquake. I've never really been in a real one. I've been in a fake one in Universal Studios years ago and as a kid. But it was kind of like, I guess, like a similar effect, like a vibration. And like I said, the glass over here, when, wobbled. And I was like, what is that? And boom, you hear the loud sound. So, and like I said, as we walked further up to try to figure out what's going on, that's when we seen the debris falling.
If that eyewitness is any indication of just how incredible it was that the Baltimore City Fire Department was able to get inside this building and rescue those 2 workers as quickly as they did. And Sean, we are about to hear from the Baltimore City Fire Department in the next few minutes. We will bring you that live as soon as we do. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Annie Rose, thank you. Well, this is obviously a developing story. We will bring you the latest as soon as it becomes available, and of course on our website, WJZ.com.